It's Eric Dane's final message. The Grey's Anatomy star lost his battle with ALS less than a year after his diagnosis. Before he passed, he did an interview in his wheelchair on the condition it would only be released after his death.
Eric Dane was slowly losing his body to ALS. But the part that hurts most is how quietly it happened. Eric Dane, the man millions knew as McSteamy on Grey's Anatomy, the confident, sharp, untouchable actor, was fighting Lou Gehrig's disease behind the scenes that no camera could hide forever. The public saw a strong actor still working on shows like Euphoria, still smiling, still showing up. What they didn't see was the private reality closing in around him day by day. And here's what makes this story different from every headline you've read. Watch till the end, because you're going to hear about the emotional message Eric recorded for his daughters Billy and Georgia in Netflix's famous last words, and why people close to him say he understood exactly how little time he had left. This isn't about fame fading. It's about a man trying to stay present while ALS slowly stopped his body from cooperating. A quiet battle, a race against time, and a final chapter that unfolded far away from the spotlight. Because once you see how his final months really looked, you'll understand why the people closest to him say he never stopped fighting, even when he knew he couldn't win.
Ann Mercogliano tells us what he wanted the world to know.
Actor Eric Dane left a heartfelt message to the world, which he asked not to be released until the day of his death.
At first, nothing looked different. Eric was still working, still appearing in public, still carrying himself with the same confidence fans remembered from Grey's Anatomy and The Last Ship. From the outside, everything felt normal enough that nobody questioned it. But diseases like ALS don't announce themselves loudly. They arrive in small moments. A strange weakness, a pause that lasts a second too long, fatigue that doesn't make sense. Little things that can be brushed off until suddenly they can't. People around him noticed before the public did. There were days where energy disappeared faster than it used to, moments where he needed extra time to reset between scenes. Times where conversations slowed slightly, subtle enough that most people wouldn't catch it. Eric didn't make a big deal out of any of it. He kept moving, because stopping would mean admitting something was wrong, and he wasn't ready for that yet.
Live now, right now, in the present.
Released posthumously today on Netflix, Dane speaks with Gwyneth Paltrow's husband Brad Falchuk about his condition.
This disease is slowly taking my body, but it will never take my spirit.
What made it harder was how determined he was to stay normal. He didn't want sympathy. He didn't want people treating him differently. The last thing he wanted was to become a headline about illness, instead of the work he was still trying to do. So he pushed through. Friends say he kept showing up even on days when it clearly took more effort than before. He joked, he laughed, he kept the atmosphere light. But behind that effort was something heavier. Every day required more focus, more patience, more energy just to maintain what used to come naturally. And that's the part people rarely understand. The battle wasn't just physical, it was mental. Waking up every morning, deciding to keep going, even when your body is sending signals you can't ignore. And slowly, the people closest to him realized this wasn't temporary. Something bigger was happening.
Overall, we had a blast, didn't we? I remember all the times we spent at the beach. The two of you, me and Mom in Malibu, Santa Monica.
When the ALS diagnosis became real, everything shifted. Not publicly, not dramatically, quietly. ALS changes how you think about time. Suddenly, the future feels different. Plans start shrinking. Priorities start moving. For Eric, that meant reevaluating what mattered most. Work was still important. Creativity still mattered. But the center of gravity in his life started moving away from the industry and towards something more personal. Family. Those close to him say he became more intentional, more present, less interested in noise, and more focused on moments that actually meant something. Because once you realize time has limits, ordinary things stop feeling ordinary. And that realization changed how he approached every day.
The actor was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease after noticing a growing weakness in his right hand beginning in 2023. Today, many are wondering how he could be gone so soon. The disease is terminal, and most patients with ALS die within 3 to 5 years.
He didn't talk about it publicly. No emotional interviews, no big statements asking for sympathy. That silence wasn't denial, it was protection. He wanted to keep life as normal as possible for the people around him, especially his wife Rebecca Gayhart and their daughters. He didn't want fear dominating every room he walked into, so he carried more than he let on. Even when physical changes became harder to hide, he tried to keep the mood steady, light, comfortable, but inside, the reality was settling in. This wasn't something he could outwork or outfight through effort alone, and as that truth became clearer, his focus narrowed even more. He wasn't thinking about legacy in the way people assume celebrities do. He was thinking about time and who he wanted to spend it with.
Those days, pun intended, were heaven. I want to tell you 4 things I've learned from this disease, and I hope you won't just listen to me. I hope you'll hear me.
Family became the anchor. People close to him describe a shift: quieter evenings, deeper conversations, moments that felt more intentional than before. He listened more, he watched more, he tried to be fully present even when his energy wasn't what it used to be, because he understood something others were still trying to accept. Time was moving faster than anyone wanted to admit. There were conversations about the future, about what life might look like, about things that normally get pushed off for later. Later suddenly didn't feel guaranteed. And that's when the emotional weight started becoming impossible to ignore. Not because he was afraid, but because he knew what was coming.
Santa Monica, Hawaii, Mexico. I see you now playing in the ocean for hours, my water babies.
As Lou Gehrig's disease progressed, everyday life started changing in ways that felt unfairly small, but deeply meaningful. Simple routines took longer. Recovery took more effort. The independence he'd always relied on started slipping away in small pieces. That's what frustrated him most. Not fear, loss of control. People around him say there were quiet moments where the weight of it showed. Brief flashes of frustration that passed quickly because he didn't want others worrying. He kept trying to protect the atmosphere around him, but everyone could feel the shift. The fight wasn't about stopping the disease anymore. It was about making the time left feel meaningful. And that realization led him toward one decision he knew he couldn't delay.
Billy in Georgia, these words are for you. I tried. I stumbled sometimes, but I tried.
He started thinking about what he could leave behind. Not awards, not fame, something personal, something Billy in Georgia could hold on to. The idea of recording a message for Netflix's famous last words began taking shape. Words they could return to when he wasn't there to say them in person. It wasn't easy. Recording something like that means facing reality head-on. It means accepting that the future might arrive sooner than anyone wants. But he did it anyway, because love outweighed fear. And once that decision was made, the emotional tone around him changed. This wasn't just preparation. It was acknowledgement.
Billy in Georgia, these words are for you. Fight. With every ounce of your being and with dignity.
Recording the message for famous last words took time. He thought carefully about what mattered most, what lessons he wanted to pass on, what he wanted Billy in Georgia to remember about him beyond McSteamy and the fame. People close to him say the process was emotional. There were pauses, moments where he needed to collect himself, moments where the reality of what he was doing hit harder than expected. But he kept going, because this wasn't about him anymore. It was about them. And when the recording was finished, everyone around him felt the shift. Something unspoken had become real. The fight wasn't ending, but the timeline felt clearer.
For the last year, the 53-year-old Grey's Anatomy star has battled ALS, the progressive disease known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Now, in that final haunting interview, he addresses his 2 cherished daughters with parting words of wisdom.
After that, life slowed down in a different way. Not dramatic, not tragic, just quieter. He still tried to stay connected to work and the people he cared about. He still wanted normal moments, laughter, conversations, small routines, but the energy required to maintain those moments grew heavier. The people around him adapted without needing words. They slowed things down, they protected his time, they focused on presence instead of plans. And through it all, Eric stayed himself, calm, thoughtful, trying to make everyone else comfortable even when he was the one carrying the hardest reality.
In the present. But I don't want to be anywhere else. The past contains regrets. The future remains unknown. So you have to live now.
The final stretch didn't feel chaotic. It felt calm. Those close to him describe a quiet acceptance settling over everything. Conversations softened. Time felt heavier and more valuable at the same time. He didn't talk about fear. He focused on connection. Even when speaking became harder, his presence said enough. The way he looked at people, the way he listened, the way he stayed engaged, even when it took effort. He knew, and the people around him knew he knew. That silent understanding shaped those final days. No dramatic farewell, just closeness, just family, just a man trying to make sure the people he loved felt safe enough to keep going.
The present is all you have. Treasure it. Cherish every moment. Second, fall in love. Not necessarily with a person, although I do recommend that as well.
In the end, Eric Dane's story wasn't about losing a battle. It was about how he chose to live while the battle was happening. He kept showing up, kept loving, kept protecting the people around him from the weight he carried quietly. The message he left behind for Billy and Georgia in famous last words wasn't about sadness. It was about love, about presence, about reminding them that who he was went far beyond McSteamy and the characters people watched on screen. And maybe that's why this story hits so hard. Because the world remembers the Grey's Anatomy actor, but the people closest to him remember the father who refused to disappear emotionally, even when ALS was failing his body. That's what stays with you. Not the headlines, not the illness. The quiet strength of someone choosing love until the very end. If you made it this far, you already understand. Sometimes the real story happens far away from the spotlight. Now watch Stefan's lawyer quits. Judge issues warning as Cardi's texts surface. What are they hiding? And see how quickly public narratives can change when pressure starts building. One story ends quietly, another one is just beginning.